What's going on, Felt fans? Welcome into Around the Felts. We got your Week 4 predictions on deck tonight. I actually can't believe it's already Week 4. This season's flying by already. We're almost in October, but hey, we got a good slate of games coming up this weekend. I'm your host, Colin Tong. As always, joining me, Reagan Losher. Reagan, it's good to be back, my friend. Thanks for holding the fort down for me in my absence. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm glad you're back from vacation or whatever you call it. Garrett and Zach definitely stepped in. You and Garrett, not the best week, so it was a good absence that you got to miss. Saying those picks on the pod to people and then having to explain those picks. That 4-12 on the spread, brother. Not ideal for you. Not ideal for
No.
you.
Oh, man, you got the lead over me now. That was a very, very poor week out of me against the spread, and I already have a survivor entry that's in deep trouble. So, my work survivor, you get 3 lives and I'm down to 1 life already
Oh, geez, bro.
with Pittsburgh. And then I had Green Bay last week against Cleveland. Like, I don't know. It was crazy, man. Like the Bucs blowing that. The Rams blowing that game against Philadelphia, the Bucs almost blowing it to the Jets, the Browns beating the Packers. Like your chalky survivor picks. Outside of Kansas City, but can't pick against my Giants. It was crazy week in the NFL. So hopefully we get a lot more crazy in Week 4 and have some fun games to watch. We also got game in Ireland on Sunday. So 9:30 a.m. you can wake up and have a coffee in bed and watch the game. So it's nice. We got the international games coming up now.
Extra wheel spins too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We got a lot to get into. First, as always, we're going to start with the news. And let's start with the major news here. The Giants move on to Jackson Dart and name him the starting quarterback. From all accounts, this was not the plan. They did not want to bring him in Week 4. But hey, when Russell Wilson is getting booed and he puts up that bad of a performance against Kansas City and the stadium is chanting, we want Dart the entire game. Every time he comes in, they cheer. He comes out, they boo. Hey, I was there in the stands Sunday night. It was toxic as hell in there. The fans want Dart. The Giants are 0-3. They got to do something to spark this offense. For me, as a Giants fan, I'm excited for Sunday. I will be in attendance for Jackson Dart's first NFL start. Your thoughts on this move, Reagan?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think they're doing the Tong family justice by letting them see Jackson Dart on Sunday. I actually like this move a lot more than a lot. I know a lot of people, and there definitely was a crowd, and out of the Giants fans that were like, "Let's wait till Week 5 against the Saints." But I think on the road in New Orleans, it's a tough place to play. We've already seen the Saints have played 2 games tight at home, and then they went on the road and got killed in Seattle, but they always play well in New Orleans. So I'd rather let him get a game under his belt. Even if he takes his licks early on, I'm sure he'll have a little bit more confidence, won't have as much jitters in his second start, where it's a very winnable one. And I don't think it's crazy to think that they could beat the Chargers. The Chargers are coming off of a big high right now, but on the road across country, their fans don't travel. It's going to be 80 to 90% Giants fans. So, that aspect will definitely factor in. So I could definitely see the Giants getting an upset win here. I'm staying away from the Chargers and Survivor this week.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because with Jackson Dart as the starting quarterback, I think the stadium is going to be electric. Like for an 0-3 team, for a team that's been so bad for so long that it doesn't have that same atmosphere in the stadium, like the fresh blood at quarterback, giving the young buck a chance. There's a lot of hope for his future, and the future is now, apparently. And I think it's going to be a very rowdy atmosphere in that stadium, especially if Jackson Dart can get off to a quick start and maybe get some points on the board. They had 1 touchdown against Kansas City. They've been really struggling in the red zone. So hopefully, his extra athleticism and maybe a gunslinger mentality, he can kind of spark this team and, bring some hope to this franchise.
For sure. Exciting times for the Giants.
Absolutely. In other news, Mike Evans going to miss a couple weeks with the hamstring. He missed 4 games last year with the hamstring. They're saying this one is not quite as bad, so the hope is 2 to 3 weeks for a Bucs team that is somewhat thin at wide receiver for what seemed like such a strength before the season. It's going to be on Emeka Buka to really step up, who battled through injury himself this past Sunday.
Yeah, no, that's a massive blow. Especially going against Philadelphia. That's one where it's like, damn, if we get this, we're to 4-0. But, then you're really looking like shit, maybe we could mess around and get that 1 seed in the NFC. So massive implications there. Obviously Chris Godwin's still not back yet. Sounds like him and Evans will probably be back at a similar time. But even veterans like Sterling Shepard have to step up here. Keep an eye on, especially in the dynasty space. Tez Johnson's the name to look out for, the flashy rookie out of Oregon. And also, I will say, Cade Otton becomes more interesting to me. While he honestly hasn't done much so far with all these injuries, he's a guy that's been there, established with Baker Mayfield. I think you could play him this week at the tight end position. And he also did, 2 years ago, granted, completely different Eagles team, gash that team in the playoffs. So he has a history of doing well against Philly.
I would argue that Philly defense 2 years ago was probably better than this Philly defense. So, I get there's no Zach Bond at linebacker. There's no Zach Bond at linebacker, but
you would argue that? I mean, that Philly defense was terrible. The one that got blown out in the playoffs against Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, that secondary was bad. I mean, I'm just not very high on this Eagles.
That whole defense
right
was garbage.
To be honest with you, yeah. You know what?
I don't know. I mean, obviously they're not what they were last year, but like so far they haven't been terrible. I mean, it's. I guess it's early. We'll see, but I trust Fangio as one of the better defensive minds to make the correct adjustments going forward, and just need Jalen Carter to not do anything dumb, because without him, that's a big loss.
That is true. In other news, the Houston Texans, in somewhat of a surprise, released Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety they traded for from Philadelphia this offseason, and they just converted over $6 million of his salary to a signing bonus a couple weeks ago, which basically just kicks that money down the road into future years against your cap. So very strange move to then go and release him a couple weeks later. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he fell out of favor. Maybe there's something behind closed doors. I know, he's kind of had some locker room issues in the past. I mean, your thoughts on this for a Houston Texans team that's not in a good spot right now?
Very weird move. Definitely makes you think something's going on behind the scenes that may come out sooner rather than later. You don't really see that. I mean, I'm not like watching the Texans under a thin microscope, but I didn't think he was, that bad to the point where you want to cut him, especially after, like you just said, giving him the signing bonus and, giving up those assets to get him. So very weird. I'm sure more will come out about that situation. And, I guess I would imagine a team will scoop him up pretty quickly, but I guess we'll see what happens there. But Houston's in a weird spot, right now. Defense looks great, but that offense is, debatable the worst in the league right now.
I mean, I could see him just signing back with Philadelphia, to be honest with you. Like, I think something Howie Roseman would do.
Oh, definitely. The rich get richer. Or maybe back to the Lions, too.
Yeah, potentially as well. Yeah. Well, that's all we got for news today. Reagan, I believe we got a good set of questions. And if you're listening and don't know how to submit questions, we post them on the Instagram before every podcast. So check us out around the Feld on Instagram. Submit the questions. We love hearing from you guys. The best part of the pod is answering what you got in your mind. So keep them coming.
So we definitely got a lot of questions today. So we're going to start out with Lino. What's up? Thanks for submitting questions. His first question is, how do we feel about starting Michael Penix against Washington this week after an awful performance against the Lions?
Dude, Penix is
Panthers,
tough. Michael Penix is really tough to trust right now. I mean, they had to put Kirk Cousins in at the end of the game. That pick six that he threw was insanely bad. Yeah, he had a big week one where he threw the ball a shit ton, but the last 2 weeks have been just absolutely brutal. And this is a Falcons offense that has all the pieces necessary to be successful. The Commanders, like, their defense doesn't scare me, but it's definitely not a bad defense. You know what I mean? So, like, for me right now, I'm not starting Michael Penix. I also don't know who your other options are. But for a quarterback that doesn't have the rushing upside, that's struggling this bad, single-digit points the last 2 weeks, it's hard to put your faith in that basket.
Yeah, I would definitely pivot. Like, I know I have him in a super flex league, and I'm pivoting to Sam Darnold over Penix after, how bad he struggled the past 2 weeks with, Minnesota and then Carolina, who nobody was talking about their defenses elite, holding teams to 0 points in a game. I would have been happy with holding any teams to 10, let alone 0. So yeah, I would bench him till he proves that he can figure it out. I know they just fired their passing games coordinator as well. So and promoted, or I'm sorry, no, they fired the receivers coach and their passing games coordinator got promoted. So maybe that'll help it, but I don't know. Definitely don't like what I see from him in that whole offense outside of Bijan. But his next question, do we think Tet finally finds the end zone this week?
Oh man, Ted has been really damn good for Carolina. I mean, he just looks like he has it. Like he's got the athleticism, he's got the it factor. He's making these acrobatic catches. It's only a matter of time, and this Panthers offense seems to be finding their groove. I mean, I think it's definitely plausible that he could find the end zone this week. I mean, I know you're a big Panthers guy, Reagan. Like, what do you think?
Oh, I think he's great. I think he's, you know, gonna be a stud going forward. I mean, like you said, it already seems like he's got it. We've seen him make some sick catches. And it's a lackluster offense, like when it comes to that wide receiver core. So outside of him, they don't have a whole lot going on there. So I don't really love that, which bodes well for him in the sense where like he's not really competing with anybody. I mean, Leggett didn't even play last week. Like Hunter Renfrow is what he is. Like he's going to get his in the slot, but he's not anybody that concerns me. And the tight end Jatavian Sanders just got put on the IR, I believe, today, or he's out for a couple games at least. So Tet, has the path to all the targets, and we even saw last week. I mean, 24 of Bryce's or 8 of Bryce's 24 passes were to Tet. So he had a 33% target share last week. It shows Bryce is making a conscious effort, to target him early, often, and a lot. So I think he gets in this week.
And
My
no
only
Christian
concern,
Gonzalez still for New England, it looks like. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's like the biggest flack. But if he doesn't play, I like it even more. But yeah, Ted ahead. So here's a punishment idea, cinnamon challenge. This is one we've tried to do in the past, but definitely one that will be thrown out this year. I think at some point one of us has to do that. So maybe one of
yeah,
these weeks we'll agree on it. It's feasible, easy to do. And then you said he wants to know our play of the week. Is there anything you like right now? I mean, I know we haven't done our 5-unit plays yet, but is there
yeah,
anything that's like
you don't
sticking
have
out?
any lines yet. You know what I mean? So there's no player props available. So it's like, okay, what game that we're gonna go through tonight do you feel the most confident in your pick? Probably against the spread, I would imagine. I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough because we don't know who's going to be playing yet in a lot of these games.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like. I mean, we could say something for Thursday night football. Like, I like Marv to get into the end zone. I think he'll have a nice bounce back game. And I like his receiving yards over. I mean, that's at 50 yards right now, but I think he'll have a nice bounce back game and definitely gets in and pushing 100 yards on Thursday night football when the lights are bright.
Jackson Dart, anytime touchdown.
Hey,
It's risky. I do like in the Seattle Arizona game. I believe Will Johnson's beat up. I don't know if he's going to be playing, but Jackson Smith and Jigba has just been an absolute tank for Seattle. And I know, like, if Max Melton and Will Johnson are a little beat up, I think JSN can feast against that secondary.
for sure. All right, Lino, thank you for your questions. Let's move on to Walmart. He said first, hey, Garrett, not today, bud. It was always the Commanders. So calling out Garrett for taking the Raiders. And I know you took the Raiders as well. So I guess that's directed at you as well, Colin.
Hey, I didn't think Marcus Mariota was going to look like he was back at Oregon,
Yeah, well, that defense too looked great. All right, so now into his questions. If anything is going to hold Green Bay back this year, it will be either injuries or Jordan Love. Where does Jordan Love rank amongst the top quarterbacks? And how many quarterbacks can you put on that team to where they still make the offs and compete?
Ooh, man. For me, Jordan Love is kind of around that 10 mark, plus minus like 2 or 3 slots. Like, I think that's kind of his range. I mean, we talked about this before the season. I was very high on Jordan Love. I thought his metrics were really good. I thought he made a ton of insanely good throws last year as he battled through multiple injuries. So the fact that he was playing through that just really shows me that he's a guy that you want to play with, and he's a leader of a team. And I believe in his arm talent. And it's not like Green Bay's ever had some bona fide studs at receiver around him. So, and I know the offensive line's been beat up as well. So it sounds like I'm making a lot of excuses for Jordan Love. Like I'm not. But also at the same time, let's acknowledge that the Browns shut down Cincinnati week 1, and like that defense looks absolutely like the 2023 form again, right? So I still believe in Jordan Love, and I still believe he's going to finish the season considered a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I think talking about the second part of the question, I think there's about maybe like 7 or 8 quarterbacks you could put on the Packers that they're still getting into the playoffs and, fighting for a Super Bowl. I mean, it's really, the guys I rank above him right now, but also some of the veterans. Like, while I think at this point, like Jordan Love's probably better than Matthew Stafford, I still think if you put Stafford on that team, he's, the veteran quarterback that's been there, won the Super Bowl, that he probably fits it better. Obviously like the Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, you could put there. But I mean, even Jared
Herbert.
Goff, Herbert,
Jared Goff.
Herbert as
Jared
well.
Goff. Yeah.
There's a good chunk of guys. I mean, I kind of view him as that like outside the top 10 range, like, maybe 12, 13. I'm not super high on him. I don't think he's bad. There's other guys I like more that I'm more impressed with where, we saw this past week. I mean, the Packers defense didn't allow any points till 57 minutes into the game and they ended up losing. So it's like, he's got to do more. And I understand, they have to go out and get a true number one. They haven't done that yet. I mean, they hope Matthew Golden becomes that guy, but I think at the deadline, they really need to go try to acquire somebody. But all right. He has a punishment idea. Loser has to dress as a Barbie for Halloween.
That is a brutal one, man. Jeez.
Something like that. I mean, there's definitely something with a punishment idea, whether it's that or just like, winner gets to pick out like the loser's Halloween costume within reason. I mean, there's definitely some stuff there. Any other comments? He says, left hand up, baby. I don't.
Left hand up.
Do you understand that? I don't.
What, like taking responsibility for taking the Raiders over the commies? I don't know.
Just any comments or suggestions? He just said left hand up, baby. All right. Walmart, thank you, as always. All right. Now we're going to move on to Mr. Vader. Ooh, he's got a lot of stuff for us. So he first wants to know, are there any healing prayers I can do for CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, so we were at the tailgate before the Giants-Chiefs game, and the entire tailgate had CeeDee Lamb in fantasy football or had CeeDee Lamb in their parlays. And we're watching together like, dude, CeeDee's going to cook the Bears. Like, their secondary's garbage right now. They just got lit up by Detroit. And then, boom, ankle. And we're like, come on, man. Come on. That sucked. That sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like 2 to 3 weeks. So at this point, just try to steer the ship. Hope I wouldn't trade him because I'm sure you're going to get a lot of low ball offers. So you just kind of have to sit on him as if you're a CeeDee Lamb owner. Unless you're 0-3, then maybe you got to panic a little bit. But if you're 1-2 or 2-1 or even 3-0, just sit on him. He'll be elite when he gets back. But now he wants to know, Jackson Dart, rookie of the year? Question mark. Odds? Question mark. Worth a shot with 14 games left to play. What do you think? Hey, you think it's worth it?
Hey, we did have this conversation. We were talking about Brian Daboll keeping his job, and I was like, there's only a couple of ways you can. And that's if they go on a sick winning streak or if Jackson Dart wins Rookie of the Year, which one is probably like goes hand in hand with the other, right? So, I mean, look, you look at the rookie landscape right now, like Ashton Genty's not letting the world on fire. Granted, I think that's significantly more his offensive line. Quinshon Judkins, the leading rusher from running backs, this crazy running back class. He only played 2 games.
Well, I was going to say, I think he's worth a sprinkle at 20-1, Judkins right now. I was super impressed with him. To me, he looks like the best rookie running back already. But Dart is plus 650 right now, which is insane.
Wow. What's Cam Ward? That's crazy. He's plus 650 and he missed 3 games.
Cam Ward is plus 850.
What? So Jackson Dart right now is better odds than Cam Ward. I would not have thought that. I think it's just a lot of hype. It's a lot of hype right now. I wouldn't take it at 650, but
no, for a guy that's
I wouldn't take that right now.
14 games max.
And
no.
it's like, look, he's going to start with the Chargers and the Saints, and then you got Philadelphia, Denver, Philadelphia. Like, that's not necessarily, a nice path for your first 5 starts. Like, that's a very difficult stretch. So, I mean, you kind of got to see what he's got first against the Chargers and the Saints before considering it, in my opinion.
I mean,
that's coming from a Giants fan.
It's wide open right now. I've never seen it as wide open so far. So, for me, I would just say throw some darts on the guys that are 21, no pun intended, 20-1 odds or worse. Like, even Scatabo, I think, is worth throwing a dart throw. He's 20-1. Henderson, 30-1. Golden 45-1. Like Torrey Holton's already got like 3 or 4 touchdowns for Seattle at 60-1. Like there's some guys that I think are worth throwing darts on versus like taking, Tet, Jackson Dart, Hampton, Ward, Ibuka, and Tyler Warren, because I don't think any of those guys are that nobody's pulled ahead. I mean, I guess Ibuka right now is probably getting a little bump with Mike Evans being out. It's like, all right, he could really ball out the next couple games without Evans or Godwin. He could really start to run away, but it's wide open.
It is wide open, man.
And that might speak to why Dart's odds are like that, because it's like, it doesn't matter. He hasn't played the first 3 games. He could catch some of the one good game. He's already passing half those. Like,
and he's quarterback.
Balls out.
And he's a quarterback.
He balls out next week and beats the Chargers. Like, he's already ahead of Cam Ward.
And Tyler Shuck's not getting the lineup yet, so like it's only him and Cam Ward right now that are playing.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, that's a good one though. So next up, he's got a punishment idea: 1 extremely hot wing for every incomplete pass, punt, negative offensive play, and turnover in the Jets-Dolphins Monday Night Football game.
For both sides. So it's not just a wing. So it's not only like the volume of chicken you're going to get down because it's the Jets and the Dolphins we're talking about. It's also an insanely spicy wing for every incomplete pass, negative play, punt. That is crazy, Kenny. What the hell?
Dude, that would be insane. I mean, I think that's a great idea. Something along the lines of that. We did the wing challenge for
the
NBA, but maybe we could try to do something with the NFL this year, something like that, where we, do that and try to edit it through, because that was a very fun video to do. But I like that a lot. I just think I would be eating a lot of wings. We might
that's aggressive.
We might be pushing 100 wings with those 2 shit teams.
Yeah,
I'm a Jet fan. So it's a double punish myself. Not only are we going to lose, but I got to just fucking pound hot wings. All right. His last one is: devote yourself to Jesus Christ this football season, because our New York football teams are terrible. Yeah. I mean, Kenny, I don't know who's really worse right now. I mean, at least you guys have Jackson Dart. I mean, I guess it's too early for me to fully be out on Justin Fields, but right now I don't have the best taste in my mouth with him. If he's our future guy, I'm basically like, if we lose that Dolphins game, I'm full tank mode. Going into week 5.
Yeah, full tank mode. Get yourself a Lenora Sellers.
Yeah, it may be. Like, that's the thing that sucks about this year. We really don't know who the top quarterback is, because a lot of the guys are underperforming.
I know, that is true.
So, all right. And our final question's coming from Caleb, Mr. Around the Bases. He wants to know, are there any matchups you might view as a turning point for the better or the worse for a team this week?
Wow, that's a really, really thoughtful question, Caleb. I mean, obviously, now that we're talking about Jackson Dart, like, could you imagine like in the home stadium at MetLife, if Jackson Dart goes in and beats the 3-0 Chargers? Like, yeah, I'd consider that a major turning point. You know what I mean? Like, that is very significant. I mean, Houston's got to take care of Tennessee. They can't drop to 0-4. I mean, I know a lot of Texans fans were going at you, Reagan, before the season for picking them to be bad. So you could consider that a turning point. If they drop to 0-4, like that's all right. The warning signs are on. I mean, that one really sticks out to me as well. And then how about the winner of Baltimore, Kansas City? Not that we don't think these teams can make the playoffs, but who would have thought one of those 2 teams would start the season 1-3 and have to dig themselves out of a major hole?
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, really any of the 0-3 teams at this point, it's like, if you lose, you're basically kissing your
I don't think there's ever been an 0-4 team to ever make the playoffs.
No, I don't think so. There's been a lot of 0-3, but like, and there's 2. I mean, like you said with the Texans Titans, like that's kind of a loser go home game, and then the same with the Jets Dolphins, it's kind of a loser goes home game. Yeah, and then I guess
Miami, hey, I tell you what, the Miami one really sticks out. If Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins lose at home to the Jets in prime time, I think he could be out of a job on Tuesday. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, and their schedule's like pretty cupcake-ish coming up, because, I mean, they got the Jets, then they got the Panthers, Chargers tough, but then the Browns and the Falcons. So really over the next 4 of the next 5 games are very winnable. So, they could get on a little run here and be 4-4, after 8 weeks. So the Dolphins could still turn it around, but it starts with this Jet game. And then some, big games, for the positives. I mean, Colts Rams, that one's huge. Who else is very big? Eagles Bucs. I mean, just for the sheer fact that, like, for seeding and stuff, and Cardinals Seahawks as well is massive, because, tight division right now, 3-2-1 teams. 49ers are 3-0 right now with the head-to-head over them, but, like, falling to 2-2 in this division seems like it's going to be really hard to catch back up with all these teams being so good right now. But yeah, so he also wants to know, what defense would you stream this week in fantasy football?
Oh man, I mean, I know that the Chargers can be a popular pick. I have the Chargers in 2 leagues going against Jackson Dart in his first start, which obviously that's just like I'm going to plug it and root against it. But I mean, it is a rookie's first start, so that's going to be a very popular choice. I think Denver, which I don't even know. Denver's definitely not on waivers, so you can't stream them. But like the way Cincinnati looked, terrible.
Titans, I think, are streamable. Even though they're on the road with how bad Houston's offenses look, Titans are definitely out there. Another one I think you can get away with is the 49ers at home against the Jaguars if they're out there, which they probably should be out there in at least half the leagues. With how, even though the Jaguars are 2-1, their offense really hasn't looked good. It's been more credit to their defense. I mean, even last week, you're not going to sit there and say, oh, this Jacksonville offense, is the reason they won the game. It was really their defense stepping up. So I think that's a positive matchup for them there. Some other streaming ones I like, Green Bay's probably not out there. I think you could stream both the Dolphins and Jets against each other in that matchup. I think that one will be pretty ugly. And I think you can get away with both. But yeah. And then his next question, and Colin, I'm sure you'll want to answer this, but is Travis Hunter droppable at this point in fantasy football?
No, absolutely not. You can't give up on him this early. He's still finding his footing. I mean, the guy looks silky smooth out there. This entire passing attack is bullshit right now. You want to drop Brian Thomas too? Like, no, absolutely not, man. He's just way too talented. You got to bite the bullet right now. I don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence, but, I'm hoping they figure it out at some point. They got to get this guy the ball. Like, I would put him on the bench, but I don't know who you're going to get on waivers that's going to be more valuable and more talented than the guy who just went second overall in the draft.
Yeah. No, I agree. You can't start him. Definitely can't start him. But, in some of these deeper leagues, like I know me and Caleb co-own a team. Unfortunately, we have both Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, and we just lost CeeDee Lamb. So our team's definitely going through the ringer right now. But, we did take Addison late, so at least we're getting Addison back this week, which is nice. But Caleb, I think, we're lucky that it's like an 8 or 9 man bench in that league that we can hold on to Hunter. But yeah, it's been tough too because we've been starting both of them, and obviously we have not been rewarded well for that.
Yeah, that's tough.
So
man.
We'll really see though. Now he wants to know, what's an unpopular Survivor pick you might be tempted to take this week?
Ooh, unpopular. I mean, there's some really easy ones, right? So it's like, do you want to burn Buffalo as major favorites? Do you want to burn Detroit? Like, that's what I'm doing right now.
No, those aren't. No. He means like the nitty gritty. Like,
I know. Like
we're looking at small spreads here. I think you could actually go with Chicago again on the road. I think I was really impressed
on the road. What, after one win against Dallas?
I took him in a Survivor pool last week against Dallas. I was so confident in Chicago. Yeah, because you gotta take some risks. Caleb, another one I like a lot. And you might not agree with this, but I think the Steelers against the Vikings in Dublin right now, like I don't really care right now, but I'm not sold on Carson Wentz. So I think, with all that travel against the backup quarterback, like to me, the Steelers are in a nice bounce back spot there.
I'm still mad at them after week 2. I'm not going back to that well because it's not like Aaron Rodgers in that offense has looked that good.
And one more I'll say is the Rams. I think the Colts are due for a dud at this point. They've been so like insane where I think they're so due for just a letdown game. I mean, they freaking have 1 punt in 3 weeks. So that seems like a very letdownish spot to me.
I do agree. I almost think my ballsiest pick is actually the Jets. I think the Dolphins. I actually think the Dolphins are going to lose and get embarrassed. Like I think the Jets play significantly harder for Aaron Glenn. Like to be honest with you, and I think Mike McDaniel gets fired on Tuesday. I actually think I think the Jets are actually a very as underdogs too. Like now that's insanely ballsy to do in Survivor, but I think they're very live.
Yeah, I mean. We'll see. I mean, it really depends. They haven't announced yet, like what and with concussions, you never know. I feel a little bit more.
Assuming Justin Fields is playing, yeah.
So we'll see. But I mean, the line definitely too, like 2.5, reflects that Vegas views the Jets as the better team right now as well. Because normally it's kind of like 3. for the home team. So that means if it was neutral site, the Jets would be favorited, and at home they would be like 3.5, 4-point favorites. So, but yeah, that's all we have for the questions. Thank you all to submit them. Like you said earlier, just we post the link on Instagram all the time. You can submit them or, just DM us them and we'll add them in. But Colin, you ready to segue over to the matchups?
Let's go. Let's do it, man. Thursday night football. The Seattle Seahawks at 2-1 facing the Arizona Cardinals at 2-1. The Seahawks are 1.5 favorites on the road with a 43.5 total. And Reagan and I disagree on this one. And because it's prime time, we love the prime time punishments.
Yeah.
This is the big bet of the week. And the fellas will be headed to the Bronx on Friday night for the Yankees-Orioles game. And the loser will be in a banana costume.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to get more creative with these. There's only so much you can do. I mean, we try not to repeat them. And
Year 3, it's tough.
ChatGPT suggested it. So we're like, you know what? It would be kind of funny to just have to be walking around in a full-blown banana costume. There can't always be food and drink punishments. So we're trying to think of some stuff to get a little bit more creative. And while it might not be our best idea, it's still going to be funny. And I don't think either of us really want to wear a banana costume. So we'll get some fun, like a funny little video from that. I'm sure some people will chirp us and, mess with us on that. But at the very least, it'll be funny for the other guy.
It's definitely funny, and it's also not ideal to be sticking out like a sore thumb in the Bronx, New York. But, that's the situation that we're putting ourselves in for entertainment purposes and to have a good time. So with all that being said, Reagan, which side do you have?
I have the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not big on Seattle. I'm not buying into the Seattle hype. Like, yeah, they're 2-1. That they beat the Saints, and and I'm not gonna say they didn't beat the Steelers because they did beat them ultimately, but that game got flipped with that Caleb Johnson thing. Like, I think that doesn't happen. Steelers win that game. In Arizona, hung really tight with the 49ers. Like, I'm still not sold on that offense in Arizona, but I do think their defense is pretty solid. And I think this is a tough draw for Sam Darnold in that Seattle offense. I mean, Charbonnet is questionable right now, and Kenneth Walker really got bottled up even in that game where they were dominating the Saints. So Seattle still doesn't have a good enough run game to me. The offensive line has its issues. We just need one of those corners to go. But I'm rolling with Arizona here to get the win at home and, improve to 3-1. And hey, the nice thing is it's still September, so Kyler Murray should be decent still.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks here. I mean, the Cardinals have beaten the Saints, and they've beaten the Panthers, and they lost to a Mac Jones-led 49ers that also lost Nick Bosa in the game to a torn ACL. So I really don't know what to think of this Arizona team. It's not like the offense is lighting the world on fire right now. Murray's been okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. has got the drops again, which is a problem. No James Conner now. So it's going to be on Trey Benson. And I don't know, man. I know they're at home, and I'm also a little bit concerned about the back end of that defense right now and some of the injuries that they got. I don't know if Will Johnson's going to go. I don't know if Max Melton's going to go. And what I do know is that JSN's going to go. And the guy has been absolutely on fire. I do absolutely have concerns about the Seattle offensive line. And, this Arizona defensive front looks much improved. But at the end of the day, I can't put my faith in Kyler Murray and a lot of question marks in that offense right now. I think Sam Darnold gets it done. I do think this is a really tight game. I think it should be a fun one. I got the Seahawks by a field goal on the road.
So you think close, but you're taking Seattle by a little bit. All right.
Yeah, I do think it's a close game. All
right,
we're going across the pond to Dublin, Ireland for the Vikings Steelers. Both teams sit at 2-1. Obviously, Minnesota last week with Carson Wentz steamrolled a Cincinnati team that just looked like they didn't want to be out there. The Steelers, they're 2-1, but it has not been that pretty, to be honest with you. Minnesota's a 2.5-point favorite, 40.5-point total here. Reagan, you said the Steelers are a sneaky survivor pick, so I know which way you're going here. Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings. No, I'm going to go with the Steelers here, man. I'm taking, I have more faith in Aaron Rodgers than I do this Minnesota offense led by Carson Wentz. Last week to me, they dominated that game, but that defense more so dominated the game. So I haven't fully been in love with what I've seen from Minnesota offensively. Like, they haven't even really been able to get Jefferson going. We'll see if getting Addison back helps. I'm assuming it will. But I think Pittsburgh's defense definitely figured some stuff out last week, holding New England to 14 points, causing a lot of turnovers. So I think they'll adjust here. I think this game will be super low scoring, but I'm going to go with Rodgers over Carson Wentz, just a better quarterback. Even if Rodgers is in his, early 40s, I still believe in him and that defense to get it done. But I will say, I got to look. I know Minnesota's there for 2 weeks. So, Minnesota's going to be whatever the spread is against the Browns the following week. Take it. Lock it in.
Yeah, I actually like that call out of you. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings in this game, even with Carson Wentz as a 2.5-point favorite. I think it's Vegas is onto something here. I'm surprised that they're 2.5-point favorites. This isn't a pick 'em or even Pittsburgh being favored, to be honest with you. So that's kind of something I'm considering here. I also think this Minnesota defense is legit, and I have not been impressed with that Pittsburgh offense, like really at all. I think if Minnesota can contain DK Metcalf and they can get after Rodgers, who is literally just a statue back there, this could be a long day for the Pittsburgh offense. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think either team touches 20, but I think Minnesota gets it done.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're both on the same point here with it being low scoring. I mean, what do you see? You're buying in more to this defense. You're not buying into Carson Wentz, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying more into the defense. I do really like the weapons more so on Minnesota than I do Pittsburgh as well to help out Carson Wentz. Like, there's no doubt Aaron Rodgers is better than Carson Wentz. Like, I'm not going to argue that, but I think Wentz can make enough plays as long as he takes care of the football. If Wentz is going to have 3 turnovers, Pittsburgh's absolutely going to win this game.
Yeah, it's cool that they're doing a Dublin game too. I believe this is. Did they do a Dublin game last year?
Yeah, they did. I think they did last year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the international. I mean, we got the next 4 weeks. Next 4 weeks we have 9:30 games. So love that. 4 more wheel spins, but just starting that NFL Sunday that much earlier. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely love it. All right, let's move on here. The 3-0 Chargers head to New York to face the 0-3 New York Football Giants with Jackson Dart getting his first start. I will be there. I am very excited. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites, 44.5-point total. I am going to take the Giants to cover the 6.5 because I think if Dart makes plays early, it's going to really rejuvenize the fan base, and there's going to be a lot of energy there. As you mentioned, Reagan, across country for LA, fans that don't really travel. I'll tell you what, there's a shit ton of Kansas City fans on Sunday. I don't think we'll see that from the Chargers, and maybe it's a letdown spot, a 3-0 team beating, they've beaten Denver and Kansas City already, 2 teams that we consider playoff caliber teams. So, maybe this is a letdown spot. Any given Sunday, I think the Giants will cover. Unfortunately, I can't pick them to win in Jackson Dart's first ever start against Jim Harbaugh, especially considering the way that Justin Herbert has looked and that this Giants defense does not look as good as we anticipated it was going to look. I think that's a lot on Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, but it's hard for me to put faith, especially in this run defense. Let's see if Omarion Hampton can have his first decent game for the Chargers here with no Najee Harris.
I mean, yeah, he obviously cooked last week with the 150 all-purpose yards, but I still think, he's going to be viewed as like a top 12 fantasy running back right now. Like, if you can go out and acquire him, I mean, I think they unlock something in that second half against Denver. I know you're not going to put him in big dogs parlay this week, probably not because you're going to the game, but I definitely think that would be a great leg to add in. But I'm taking the Chargers to win here, but I do think the Giants cover. I just think with all the things being said, I think this game will be closer. It's a tough draw for LA, always going across the country. I think there's something to be said about that. And for a team to cover 6.5 crossing country, especially one like the Chargers that really don't have the fans that travel with them, I think it's going to be loud. I think Chargers get it done ultimately, but I think there's a classic Chargers game where it comes down to the wire and they end up winning by like a field goal. But hey,
okay,
let's go. Let's go, Jackson Dart. And Cam Scatterbo too, man. Like I really like him a lot. Like, right now I would say, rookie running backs wise, like Scatterbo to me seems like already the second best running back. Granted, it's one game. Kansas City was daring the Giants to run the ball on them with the defense they were playing, where they were like, hey, we're going to do the classic Bill Belichick, take Malik Neighbors out. You can run the ball. You could throw it to all the other guys. You're just not going to Malik Neighbors. But still, I mean, he was involved in the running game. He was involved in the passing game. We'll see if Dart gives him those same check downs that Wilson was giving him Sunday night. But, man, he could really explode with Tracy out. And I'm not worried about Singletary at all. Like, he'll get some, but I think he's going to be like an 70 to 80% touch guy going forward.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. And it's not even that he's just getting what the defense is giving him. It's the power that he runs with, like breaking tackles, like picking up first downs where he had no business of doing it. It's being the leading receiver for the Giants, 6 receptions for 61 yards, like showing you that's the receiving skills that he had in college. That's certainly translating. And I mean, the guy just, I don't know. He's got that juice. He's got that energy, like I don't know. Like he kind of sparks your offense a little bit when he's out there and he smashes someone or runs them over. So definitely high on Scatterbo. Just hope the interior of that offensive line can hold up and kind of give him some running lanes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say for that one.
Let's move on. Tennessee at Houston. Both teams 0-3, but the Texans are 7.5-point favorites here. That's a big number. The point total, 38.5. When it's this early in the season, you see a total below 40. It's not a good sign. You want to stay away from this game in fantasy football. You want to stay away from this game in your touchdown parlays. Reagan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm actually taking the Titans here. I think Cam Ward gets it done. You could say I'm a Texans hater. I don't even care at this point. I'm so out on this team. I know the defense is good, but this offense is dog shit. Terrible. I mean, just terrible. So I have no confidence here, where at least the Titans, it's like, you got the rookie quarterback with Cam Ward. He showed some flashes. Like, you never know what he's capable of at this point. Tennessee's defense hasn't been amazing. They're much better against the pass than they are the run. But the good thing is the Texans' running room is terrible. Like, Nick Chubb is not anything good anymore. I will say, if Woody Marks is on your free agents, if you are listening to this when the spot is posted, if waivers haven't run yet, like, he's a must pick up to me because he's getting more and more involved. We don't know the certainty of Joe Mixon, but I think by the end of the year, it's going to be his backfield, the rookie that they took in the 4th round out of USC. So I like him a lot. But I'm taking the Titans and Cam Ward to get the first win here in a close divisional game, low scoring, but I have no faith in the Texans, and I don't care.
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston to win the game, but I think the Titans will cover. I mean, what is going on with CJ Stroud, man? Like, everyone's been kind of clowning him on social media. They're like, ever since this moment when he tried to give like Caleb Williams advice last year, and he's like, hey, like, you're going to be a dog in this league. And he's trying to give him advice, and Caleb was like blowing him off, like, who the fuck are you, kind of thing. And like, since then, CJ Stroud's got like 16 touchdowns and 13 picks. He's really been struggling. And it's like, look, like, Nico Collins is not living up to what we thought he was going to be. I don't know how much of that's on him or how much of that's on CJ Stroud. I know, obviously, they're missing a lot of weapons they had last year, and I completely understand, like, you don't have that running game with Joe Mixon right now. And we all knew before the season this offensive line was absolute dog shit. That's why it was so asinine that they traded away Laramie Tunsil. I still don't understand why the hell they did that. But now this offense is stuck in mud. And it's like, you're sitting here and you're like, wait, remember when CJ Stroud was in like top 10 talks and people tried to put him in the top 5? Like, is he even top 15? Is he even top 20? Because CJ Stroud has been god awful. So I think a fat spread like this for a divisional game, yeah, I think absolutely Tennessee can hang in there because I like what I'm seeing from Cam Ward. I know he's got no weapons either. Both teams got no weapons, but hey, low scoring game, they can cover the 6.5. I think they can cover it. So give me that. But ultimately, because Houston's at home and that secondary is legit, I'm going to give them the nod that they're going to get the win.
Yeah, this is a must-win for the Texans. If they lose this, they then have the Ravens, Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos, Jaguars again, then the Titans, but then the Bills, Colts, Chiefs, Cardinals, Chargers later on, Colts. They have a gauntlet of a schedule left. I am already ready to take my victory laps. This team is not going to make the playoffs. Even if they go 7-7 in their next 14, I'm correct. I already feel like I'm right on this with them going 7-10.
Well, you can't take a victory lap yet, man, because like you want to save it until it's locked. So when you go at those Texans fans that were calling us a lot of names that honestly I don't want to repeat on the pod, like it's gonna feel really good. But yeah, you can't celebrate early, man. Look what happened last week in the NFL. How many teams came from behind and got it done? You know, it's any given Sunday.
Also, you got to think too, like if the Texans do miss the playoffs, which they probably will at this point, I mean, DeMeco's Ryan's seat is definitely going to be hot. I mean, if it's this big of a collapse and CJ Stroud has this big of a regression, after 2 years with him, while the team's been good, but like their franchise quarterback's just been getting worse and worse, where they might be like, while he's a great defensive mind, like either we got to get a new quarterback in here, or it's like we need to get somebody that can figure out CJ Stroud and save him before, they're looking to draft a future guy. Because there's going to be big-time question marks about Stroud if they miss the playoffs as well.
Well, that's the problem. It's like when you hire a defensive-minded head coach, is like, yeah, DeMeco's got that defense playing well, and he has the past 2 years. Like that defense they were terrible before he got there. And granted, they added a lot of really good personnel. But it's like, yeah, and any offensive coordinator you get over here that would then turn around CJ Stroud and get this offense humming again. Like teams would be knocking on the door for them to go be the head coach, So that's kind of one of the issues when you hire a defensive-minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on here. The Commanders are at the Falcons. The Commies 2-1. Atlanta 1-2 after getting steamrolled by their division rival Carolina Panthers. The Commanders are only a 1.5 favorite, though. That's clearly under the assumption that Jaden Daniels will not be playing, I believe, at this juncture. 44.5 point total here. If it's Marcus Mariota, do you still believe in this Commanders team to take care of business?
Yeah, no, I'm fully in on this Commanders team with or without him. The defense played great last week. Atlanta's offense looks terrible. And I'm here for the Marcus Mariota revenge tour. He got his revenge on the Raiders. He's now going to get his revenge on the Falcons and be like, hey, should have kept me around as your quarterback. I could have been your starter while I beat your franchise quarterback. But yeah, no, I think the Commanders get it done. They have enough talent there. I mean, hopefully Terry plays. I know he's questionable as well. So
it's not looking good.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt too. But I mean, they still got enough guys between Debo, Ertz. I mean, the running back room, some of those guys definitely got some juice between, Rodriguez and Evans and I'm not Evans. I mean, McNichols. Well, what do you think about the Bill thing too? Before, because everyone was like ready to crown him like the starting running back, and then like he didn't really get utilized right away last week. And if it wasn't for like a Terry getting tackled at the 1, like he wouldn't even scored. So, I mean, I have him on a couple teams, but you can't really start him after the past 2 weeks. I mean, even last week, like 8 carries and 1 catch, like that's not what you were thinking the workload would look like.
No.
Once Eckler went down.
Look, I started him last week when Eckler was out. I thought he would get the lion's share. Not that I thought he was going to get 20 carries, but I thought he'd get more like 15. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a little concerning right now. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever performs is going to get the lion's share in that backfield. It seems like all 3 guys are kind of doing their thing right now, and it's who's going to step up and really take control of the backfield. So, yeah, I wouldn't start Bill this week against Atlanta. He's going back on the bench for me after starting him week 3. But you certainly see the upside potentially, especially when Jaden gets back. Because then this offense will start humming again.
And you know what, makes me nervous too with, the Bills stock is Chris Rodriguez had 11 carries. He had the most carries. He was a healthy scratch the first 2 weeks. So he was the guy that was 4th on the depth chart. And he's the one that's benefactoring, and McNichols also had a 60-yard touchdown run. So it's like, that really scares me that, McNichols has the big run and Rodriguez gets the more touches when Rodriguez has been the healthy scratch. So, and even Debo had 3 carries too. So you got to think that aspect too, that they're going to, continue to involve Debo in the running game as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a concern for me right now. He's going back on the bench. But back to this game, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, look, it's Marcus Mariota. There's no Terry McLaurin. The Falcons are at home as dogs. Like, I know last week was pathetic, but I don't know. Like, it's not like I'm looking at what they've done the past couple weeks as why I'm taking this. I just think it's against the tide. I think a lot of people be on the Commanders, and I think, all right, there's a reason Marcus Mariota is a backup in this league. This Atlanta team should take care of business at home where they historically have played much better. So, hey, let's see more of what we saw in week one, Michael Penix. Maybe let's get Drake London the ball a lot more. I would like that. And I think Bijan Robinson, let's keep doing what you're doing here, but not get tackled inside the 5. Let's punch the ball in the end zone, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, next, the Saints at the Bills. The Bills are 16.5-point favorites. Holy shit. That is a disgustingly high spread. Of course, the Bills are 3-0. The Saints are 0-3. Saints are probably the worst team in football right now. And the total is 47.5. And with that fat of a spread, it's like, okay, the Bills going to hang 30 for the 4th week in a row. Your thoughts, Reagan? I know you love taking the dogs when you got these fat spreads like this.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints on the spread. I think everyone is going to be taking the Bills. So to me, that was more of a trap type thing where it's like, 90% of the public probably will be taking the Bills spread, being like, this Saints team just got absolutely embarrassed in Seattle. The Bills, this juggernaut offense, like at home. So that's more just like, hey, they can still get a backdoor cover when it's that many points. Like you could be down fucking 21 going into the 4th, and Buffalo starts to put in this prevent defense, and they're just kind of running the ball, and it's like, all right. So that just really came down to a lot of people being on Buffalo, the public, and too many points. But Buffalo's going to roll here. They probably still win this one by 2 touchdowns at least. It's just me banking on the 4th quarter garbage time for the backdoor cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills here. Look, if it was in New Orleans, maybe I'd be more tempted to take that fat spread there. But I think Spencer Rattler is just going to get absolutely destroyed in Buffalo. I think James Cook might score 3 touchdowns in this game. I think the Bills hang 40 points against the Saints, and I don't think the Saints have the firepower. Like, I don't know. I mean, Kamara doesn't look awesome. Like, yeah, Chris Olave is doing good for fantasy because he's getting like 15 targets a game, but they're not really getting any explosives. Like, Jawan Johnson's been fine.
No, he's been good. He's been great. He's a must pick up at the tight end with
the
amount of targets he's getting. It's insane.
I think he's like tight end 3 or 4 in fantasy right now.
Yeah,
I did pick him up last week, but it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to stop Josh Allen and James Cook right now. Like James Cook is feasting. I think this Bills offensive line is going to dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I even saw today, like, some stuff about maybe the Kansas City trying to acquire Kamara. I think if the Saints are smart, they'll trade him at the deadline.
Oh, that would be nice for Kansas City because Pacheco is garbage, brother. Garbage.
Yeah, I mean, that whole backfield seems cooked. I don't know. It's weird. They can't run the ball at all, but I do feel like it's something to be said about, the offensive line, but then there's also something to be said about, like, Pacheco being cooked, and Hunt is what he is at this point. He's just, more valued in the receiving game. But
the Saints should trade him. It's just sad saying that you should trade the guy who's been like a franchise legend almost, over the past 8 years. Like, he's just been a staple of that team.
Yeah, I wonder when they will make the move too, because Rattler, like, believe it or not, like, he only has 1 interception and he hasn't fumbled the ball. So, and he has 4 touchdowns. So, like, and his completion percentage is 67%. So, like, he's not playing terrible, but he's not also playing good enough to actually win you these games. He's playing very conservative, and kind of a lot of it's in this garbage time. But
yeah, I mean, Kellen Moore is certainly trying to protect him and make sure that they're not turning the ball over because, they can get boat raced if Rattler throws a couple picks.
Yeah, I do wonder when they're going to move on to Shuck. I'd like to see him get a chance because at least you need to know if you're going to spend a 2nd-round pick, you need to know after this year, like, because odds are they're going to be picking in the top 5, if not 1. Like, you need to know if you need to draft one of those quarterbacks or not. So you got to at least give Shuck a chance. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point of drafting a guy in the 2nd round to draft a quarterback next year if you're not even play him?
I know. And hey, the Giants just moved to Jackson Dart after 3 games. The Saints are in the same boat. They're 0-3, right? But the thing is that Kellen Moore, first-year head coach, he has a long leash. So he doesn't have to do a move out of desperation, per se, like some people are saying Brian Daboll is.
Yeah.
All right, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Philadelphia is a 3.5-point favorite on the road after that crazy comeback against the Rams last week. That was nuts. Obviously, we mentioned no Mike Evans for the Bucs in this one. So 3.5-point spread, I think that kind of feels right with no Mike Evans for Tampa Bay. But your thoughts here. What do you like in this game, Reagan?
Yeah, I'm going with Philly here. There's just too many freaking injuries for the Bucs right now. I mean, that offensive line is in shambles right now. Honestly, I'm surprised the spread's not closer to a touchdown, but I guess they're giving, Tampa Bay some love with being the home team, but I think Philly rolls here. They're healthy, and that's the name of the game. I mean, Baker's going to be without his top wide receivers. He's going to be without his whole, offensive line. So I think that Philly defensive line is going to feast. It's going to be hard for them to establish the run with, Bucky Irving and White. It's just going to be asking a lot out of Baker, where I think on the flip side, I think Jalen Hurts and that offense, it kind of showed last week, like, hey, we can pass the ball downfield. We do have, two insane wide receivers. So maybe let's open the playbook. So I think we'll see more of that this week as well. Not as much of a conservative play calling. And it makes sense too. Like, Tampa Bay's good against the run, so why not air it out? So I think Philly wins this one by double digits, and it's not really going to be my feelings towards Tampa Bay, but you could see last week with the injuries too. Like, watching that, I mean, on the first drive alone, they had 5 offensive holding penalties on Tampa Bay. 5.
Yeah, it was not pretty. I know Graham Barton was out there playing tackle because Tristan Wirfs. So
it's all
it's
backups and guys out of position. Not one of the offensive linemen last week was in their natural position. And, you went toe-to-toe with the Jets with all those injuries. A team that just won the Super Bowl that's healthy is not going to go toe-to-toe with you and let you get away with those mistakes. You're not going to have a 5 penalty. You're not going to have 5 penalties on the offensive line and still manage a field goal on the first drive. That's not going to happen against the Eagles.
You must have been fuming that first drive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that whole game I was fuming, but that's my point. Like, Philly is not the Jets, so they won't let the Bucs get away with that same bullshit.
All right, I'm going to take the Bucs.
Wow.
Yeah, I am going to take the Bucs in this. It feels kind of wrong. I'm going to take the money line, and I think Philadelphia has lost one game of like their last 20, which is like absolutely insane. But I think Tampa Bay just matches up really well with Philly, more particularly against that Philly offense, because I think they can contain Barkley and hopefully contain Hurts in his read options. You got to make Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm to beat the Eagles. And I know it's not going to happen every game because that's what Kansas City did in the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts played great, right? But let's be honest here. Philly's at their worst offensively when Jalen Hurts is dropping back to pass the ball more than 30 times in a game. Tampa Bay is a team that could force them to do that. They're also at home. I know no Mike Evans, so that makes me think the entire world's going to be on the Eagles. But you know what? Baker's playing with some swagger right now, dude. Like, I think he is well within the MVP conversation right now. So why not ride the hot hand at home in this game? Maybe they shock the world and beat the Eagles. Give me the Bucs as 3.5-point dogs.
Yeah, 18-1 right now on Baker, so some good value there if you truly do believe that.
I mean, if I think they're going to win, now would be the time for me to sprinkle on Baker.
Yeah, then you should, because it'll probably go
beat the Eagles.
It'll probably go to 9-1 at least. It'll cut it in half. So if you truly think that, maybe it's worth the investment. Just saying.
Potentially. All right, the Browns are at the Detroit Lions. The Lions, 8.5-point favorites at home. Total 44.5 here. Lions, of course, 2-1. Big win on the road at Baltimore. And hey, the Browns, monster win. Taking down the Green Bay Packers. Do the Browns have a little bit more magic in their veins this week?
I like this Browns team a lot, but I think they're a way different Browns team on the road versus at home. I mean, at home, they beat the Packers and they lost by a point to the Bengals, but they go on the road and they allow 41 to the Ravens. So I think the defense is good, but I think the team overall, offense not great, defense good at home, okay on the road. So if this game was at home, I'd have more confidence in the Browns, but on the road in the Dome, the Lions are going to be, full steam ahead, and their defense is a lot better than I thought it was in Detroit. Like, they looked really good. They sacked Lamar, I think, like 6 or 7 times in that game. Really made him look uncomfortable. I mean, Lamar still did Lamar things, but that's the most human I've ever seen Lamar. I think that's only the second time he's lost, second or third time I've ever seen him lose to a NFC team, because Lamar's been so third time because Lamar's been so dominant against the NFC. But yeah, I'm taking Detroit here. They'll probably roll here, win by multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Detroit to cover the 8.5. I just think vibes are high right now after a brutal week 1. Everyone's like, oh no Ben Johnson. Jared Goff looks human again. Like, was it Goff? Was it Johnson? Like, who knows? And now it's like, oh, all right, they're fine, man. They just need a little bit of adjustment period. They're good. This offense is still a juggernaut. Now, it will be tough to run the ball against this Cleveland front, I think, but it's that Baltimore front. I know they didn't have Matabike, so a little bit different, but it's not like Baltimore's super easy to run the ball on either. So, I mean, at the end of the day here, I think you bring up a great point because I mentioned earlier how I think this is looking more like the Cleveland Browns 2023 defense. That 2023 defense was actually the best in football at home, but they got exposed on the road. So I completely forgot about that. I'm glad you mentioned that, where they struggle on the road here. I think the Lions are going to walk into this game and fully expect to dominate. And it's like, okay, even if the Browns are going to take care of the Gibbs and Montgomery duo, I mean, we saw last week, Jameson Williams made a couple big plays early, and then they didn't even really need him the rest of the game because Amon-Ra St. Brown did his thing. Laporta made some nice plays. I mean, this Lions team is just a juggernaut right now, and Aiden Hutchinson very much in play to win the DPOY. He's dominating. I know the Browns just lost Jones as well, their tackle. So that's a problem for me. I don't know how much juice this Browns team has. I will say Quinshon Judkins looks very good. And, hey, it's not like him. And Green Bay is not an easy defense to run the football on, man. He almost got to that century mark. So, hey, let's see if he can do it again against this Detroit front, which is not necessarily easy to run on.
Yeah. No, I'm fully in on Judkins. I'm have a ton of shares in Underdog this year, so I'm loving this right now with how good he looked last week. And a lot of people got him at a value because of all the uncertainty, but now he seems to be the guy and going to get a ton of volume.
Yeah, and even got him in some weekly winners where you get him late, and it's like, there was a chance of a suspension. Like, it was a big roll of the dice, and I didn't think by week 3 I'd be like, in my redraft, I got to start this guy. Like, how I cannot leave him on the bench right now in redraft. So for best ball to be reaping the rewards this early on, it feels really damn good. I'm not going to lie. Feels really damn good. All right. Carolina at 1-2 at the New England Patriots, who are also 1-2. The Pats, hefty 5.5-point spread here. Very interesting line. Total 43.5. I have a lot I want to say to Mike Vrabel, but Reagan, I'll let you take the floor first. I imagine you're going to take your Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I am going to take my Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think they have arrived. Defense is way better now. Offense humming the past 6 quarters, almost winning that Arizona game. And damn, if they did win that Arizona game, how would we be feeling about the 2-1 Panthers? So I think this is a very winnable game. I think that 5.5 points is disrespectful, especially if no Christian Gonzalez. I think Tet's going to have a big game. And I think Chuba Hubbard could have a big game here as well. And defensively, I think this is another good building block game for them, especially with, maybe their run defense isn't great or questionable at times, but this Patriots backfield right now is disgusting and in a bad spot right now. So, but let's see the rant you're about to go on.
I mean, what the fuck are we doing, Mike Vrabel? I said this earlier. I was like, Travion Henderson's the guy. He's clearly the most talented back on the team. He's got the home run speed. He's got it as a receiver. Why is Ramondre Stevenson getting all this run over him? I mean, Peter Schrager said before the season, they think they got their Gibbs in Montgomery, and like Henderson's the Gibbs. Like, wait and see what he's got. And I'm like, well, why is Ramondre Stevenson getting so much run? And I said, take Henderson because Stevenson's got fumbleitis. Henderson has not he did not fumble once in college. And what happened last week? It was a matter of time. 2 fumbles from him. And then you know what? They put in goddamn Antonio Gibson, who is not a good player. And then he fumbles. And then after that, that's when they finally were giving every single snap to Henderson. And I'm like, let the kid get some run. Let him find his groove. He gives your offense such a high ceiling, especially with the way Drake May's been playing. And it's not like you have a lot of studs out wide right now. Like, what are we doing? Give the young talent the opportunity to get better and progress. Newsflash, Mike Vrabel, you're not winning the goddamn Super Bowl this year. Get your young bucks with high upside talent into the fucking game and give them the ball. What are they doing? Why is Antonio Gibson getting in the game before Travion Henderson after Ramondre fumbles twice? That is asinine. It is stupid. And from a coach that, rode the coattails of fucking Derrick Henry for so long to, think you're this. What are you doing, man? Put Henderson in the fucking game. We all saw him dominating in training camp. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
So, Antonio Gibson season, here we are. He's a must pick up.
What are we doing, man? Put Henderson in the fucking game. The guy does not fumble. Like, give him run.
Oh my
You know
gosh.
what? You know what, man? You know what? I'm so pissed off. I had Carolina covering, the Pats winning. I'm switching my fucking pick. Let's go. Keep pounding, baby. Let's go, Carolina. Fuck Mike Vrabel. Get Travion Henderson in the fucking game. I'm rooting against this team until Henderson's getting 75% of the goddamn snaps.
That's awesome. Let's go.
That's
Happy
all
to
I gotta
have you.
say. That's all
Happy
I
to
gotta
have
say.
you.
Yeah, that's all I gotta
Oh,
say about that game.
I kind of hope Antonio Gibson's like the lead back this week just to see you crash out next week again. That was amazing. That was
I think
amazing.
they probably heard me down on the first floor, and I'm on the 5th floor of my apartment building. So
Let's go.
hopefully I don't get a noise complaint, and the cops come knocking on my door. All right, let's move on here. The Jags at 2-1 are at the 49ers, who are 3-0. The Niners 2.5-point favorites, 47.5 point total. Hey, it hasn't necessarily been pretty for San Francisco with all the injuries that they've had, but they just find a way to win. And you know what? This Jacksonville offense has looked really bad, but they've found a way to win 2 games. Your thoughts on this one, Reagan? Which side you taking?
I'm taking San Fran, but damn, man, does it suck that Nick Bosa's out for the year with the ACL tear, and especially because they originally thought he had missed it. And usually when they say that, like, it seems like they're pretty spot on. Where they're like, he's good, he didn't tear it, or it's definitely torn. It's pretty rare that it's the other side. So I was shocked to hear that, a couple days later he actually did tear it.
Yeah.
Which is a major blow to this defense that seems much improved through 3 weeks with Robert Saleh. But I feel confident. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, I still think they get the win here at home. Defensively, love it. Offensively, I think Christian McCaffrey is going to cook here. And on the Jacksonville side of things, I mean, they've been getting kind of lucky because I feel like Lawrence has been terrible, like really bad. Like even last week, like with getting the win, he was still like 20 of 40 passing the ball, like not very accurate, not a lot of incompletions. So I'm not really fully bought in on this Jags team. I feel like it's kind of fool's gold right now. Like I was high on them coming into the season, but until Trevor Lawrence can, become more consistent and return to, because he's not a bad quarterback, but he almost seems like he's worse than he was at his peak because he's definitely hasn't lived up to his expectations. But he's 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, a 43 QBR. Like, he's had some 4,000-yard passing seasons with like 2022. I mean, he had over 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And I still felt like that's not like what his full peak could have been, but he just needs to get back to that form for, I think, this team to be good. And he's nowhere near this. He's regressed like crazy with Liam Cohen. I mean, granted, it's 3 games, but terrible so far. So I think a good team like the 49ers, a team that's been in the Super Bowl, will really expose him in those flaws.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely concerned about Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to take the Niners to win this game, but I do think the Jags are going to cover the 3.5. I mean, I took the Niners last week. I think they were 2-point favorites when it closed, and of course, they didn't cover that against Arizona. I think there could be a very similar game script here where it's like, all right, like no Nick Bosa, no George Kittle. Yeah, it's going to be the McCaffrey show. No Brock Purdy. Like we got Mac Jones in there. Like I think the Jags, the way their defense has been playing, they can hang in there. Hopefully they could run the football with no Nick Bosa in the picture right now. So I don't know. I think the hook is bothersome to me. If it was 2.5, maybe it'd be taking the Niners here. But I think there's a very real possibility where they win by a field goal, with their new kicker towards the end of the game. And that's how it goes. But I'm absolutely concerned about Trevor Lawrence and this Jaguars offense because I was really, really high on it going into the season. But that was thinking that Liam Cohen was going to fix Trevor Lawrence. And we're going to be like, all right, maybe not. Maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 5 quarterback like he was supposed to be when he was drafted, but at least he's pushing more towards that top, 10 to 15 range, where right now I don't even know if you consider him the top half of the league.
No, not right now. No, definitely not.
Absolutely not. All right, the Colts 3-0 at the Los Angeles Rams 2-1. The Rams 3.5-point favorites. I mean, a heartbreaker for them last week, blowing that game to Philadelphia. 49.5 point total, very, very high. I mean, with the way this Colts offense has looked, led by Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, who, looks like the leader for Offensive Player of the Year right now, the way he's been running the football. I mean, he just looks dominant. So this Colts team, man, offensive line is playing great. They really retooled it in the offseason. But, is the clock going to strike midnight on Daniel Jones in this offense for the Colts?
Yes, it will. I think the Rams, like I said earlier, are a sneaky survivor pick here. I think they're just due for such a dud game for the Colts, and that's not a great analysis at all. But I like the Rams' run defense a lot as well. I mean, we saw what they were able to just do to Saquon Barkley, shut him down, and Jonathan Taylor has
Yeah.
been the hottest running back in football so far. But I think the Rams are going to be smart enough to try to go into a similar approach that they did against Philadelphia that, should have worked if they could figure out their special teams kicking game, in the sense where, hey, we're going to take out your running back. You're going to beat us with your quarterback. So I think, if I'm doing that, I'm going to bet against Daniel Jones and bet on Daniel Jones, even though he's looked good through 3 games. I'm not fully bought in. I mean, hey, and I'm a guy beating the drums for him to win comeback player of the year, but I also don't think Daniel Jones is going to be this flawless and he'll be this consistent, because this is like better than I even thought he would be through 3 weeks. So, but he's definitely buying himself the job for the season at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Colts fans are posting like under the Colts post, they're like, you've changed my life. Like Indiana Jones, we love you. Like, really happy for DJ. Like in all honesty, like truly mean it. Like it's really cool to see for him, see him have that success. Like he's a great dude. And, unfortunately I got to pick the Rams in this spot though. Like I think the Rams are a legit team. They beat everybody except the Eagles, like over the last 2 years. Like really, once they hit their stride last year, they've only really lost the Eagles. They beat everyone else. So I'm going to continue on that trend, especially at home here. I think that Rams front got a ton of juice right now. A lot of young bucks. They're flying around. Stafford with Puka Nacua looks lethal. And then Devontae Adams as well looks damn good. I mean, it's not even just Kyron Williams now. Like they're actually giving Blake Corum a little bit of run, and he looks really good too, running the football. Like that Rams offensive line looks much improved. So, the 3.5 is a little concerning for me, given how good this Colts offense has been, it's with the hook. But I think the Rams can win this game by double digits. Like, honestly, if this goes how I think, yeah, I think they could really hang like 30 on this Colts defense. And, we might see DJ and crew come back down to earth a little bit.
DJ 3-1 now to win comeback player of the year.
And you got it at what?
40-1. And then that's what I said. Well, that was before he was the starter too. I was saying to do that. So
you were. That was back in like April or May.
So definitely happy with what we've seen from DJ so far.
Wow, that's great. All right, man. Probably the biggest game on the slate this week. The Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore's 2.5-point favorites here on the road. Both teams sit at 1-2. We got a 48.5 win total here. Which one of these Super Bowl contenders is going to drop to 1-3?
Yeah, I mean, this game is going to be. I mean, who would have thought, coming into this that one of these teams would be 1-3?
Not me, because
not anybody.
I literally was the guy saying take the Ravens at plus 500 have the best record in football.
Yeah, I think at this point that may already be chalked, unfortunately. I mean, they would have to essentially win out for that to still have a chance. But I have Kansas City here. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the better team here at home. I understand, right now the Kansas City has some flaws, but they just seem to always get it done when they're backed in a corner. I mean, they got it done against the Giants last week. I think a lot of people are going to be, picking Baltimore here, but I don't care. I know Worthy's questionable right now. If he were to play, that would be massive for that Kansas City offense right now. But I'm betting on Patrick Mahomes, man. He, at the end of the day, while Lamar's one of the best, Patrick Mahomes is a whole nother level. So give me that Kansas City team. Defense is still playing really well right now. We just need this offense to look better. And we just saw that Lions offense cook this Ravens defense. So I think it's a good spot for Mahomes and that Chiefs offense.
Yeah, this is tough for me, man. I mean, talk about a gauntlet for Baltimore to start the season. You had to play Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City in the first 3 weeks. That's really tough. And you got Kansas City on the road here in Arrowhead, which, obviously it's insanely tough to win there. But I am going to take the Ravens. I am really not impressed with Kansas City and how they've looked. I mean, they're not going to be able to run the football. I mean, God damn it, Isaiah Pacheco was running a route the wrong way the other night. Like, it was so bad, and like, the Giants have a really bad run defense, and they really weren't able to get it going on the ground against them either. Like, I don't know. I think this Ravens secondary, I am concerned about this Baltimore secondary, especially if you consider the talent. But it's like, okay, it's one thing if like Josh Allen is beating you and Jared Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta. It's another thing if it's like, all right, Tyquan Thornton and Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown, right? Like, and Kelsey. I'll throw Kelsey in there, even though he didn't really do much against the Giants. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be a barn burner of a game, and I think Lamar Jackson is going to make a big play late, whether that's him outside the pocket and throwing a 40-yard frozen rope towards the sideline to get in field goal range, or whether that's him extending a play with his legs and getting it done. I expect Spagnuolo to try to spy Lamar, similar to what they just did with Detroit, because there were a couple times where it looked like he was going to be gone, and then, you know what, they got him. The spy got on his legs, and he did not like that. So I'd anticipate a similar game plan from Kansas City in this one. But ultimately, like, it's not super high in this Chiefs offense right now. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just not seeing the same Mahomes that I'm used to. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to get it done on the road.
All right. I mean, it still seems like the same Mahomes to me. It's just I just think the factors of how banged up they are right now. Like, I think
I know. Like, he is Rashee Rice and
give
Xavier
him
Worthy.
Yeah,
I know.
I think you have to factor that in. You
I
got
know.
come on, factor it in.
He doesn't have a run game either. I know, but it's also like, I don't know, man. Like, he's not making the same throws downfield that he used to. Like, he's just really not, you know? And it's, I don't know. They're not really that exciting of an offense anymore. They used to be the most exciting in the league.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. The Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Bears are 1.5-point favorites after a monster win against Dallas. 48.5-point total here. That's a high total. I like it, man. Ben Johnson-led team. You know, that defense does not look great for Chicago right now. Of course, no Jalen Johnson out for the season. Well, unless they make the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen. Both teams sit at 1-2. Two tough teams that I think are very hard to read, Reagan. I don't know. You were so high in the Bears last week. Are you going back to the well?
I am going back to the well. I think their offense has figured it out. They looked okay against Minnesota, then struggled against Detroit, but last week they cooked the Cowboys. And guess what? This Raiders defense, very cookable, as we saw a backup quarterback in Marcus Mariota and that Commanders team hang 40 on their head. So I think this is a great get-right spot. You know, continue to build for the Bears, and they get another win, improving to 2-2. Caleb's looked great so far. I believe he's tied for the league lead right now with Aaron Rodgers for touchdown passes at 7, but had, debatable the best game of his career last week. Just selling my 5-unit play of 300 yards, coming up 2 yards short of 298.
Yeah.
I feel almost cheated. But, when your team's dominating that much and Dallas keeps turning it over in the red zone, it is what it is. But 298 with the 4 touchdowns last week, the 142 quarterback rating. He looks like he's really taking a nice jump in year 2 right now. So, yeah, I'm going with Caleb and the Bears here to get it done and go to 2-2.
I agree with you, man. I'm also going to take the Bears. I was not high in this Raiders defense at all before the season, and they haven't really done anything to prove me wrong just yet. I think the secondary is garbage. Shout out to my guy Luther Burden, going for over 100 yards, catching a deep ball on a flea flicker. That was fucking sick. So I'm really happy to see him getting involved. Romo Dunes looks like an absolute dog now. It's a Shane Waldron effect. I'll say this. Shane Waldron, he was in Seattle, JSN, not a great rookie year. Everyone's like, panic button. Why they take him the first round? What did he do last year? What is he doing right now? Shane Waldron in Chicago last year. What happened? Romo Dunze, top 10 pick. Oh, no. This guy, he's not nearly as good as Neighbors or Marv. Oh, no. Look at him. He's not even getting involved. Oh, he's gone. Look at Romo Dunes right now. Right? And now where's Shane Waldron? Jacksonville. We talked about it earlier. What's going on with Brian Thomas? What's going on with Travis Hunter? Oh, Shane Waldron. That's what's going on. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited for this Bears offense, man. I think they got a lot of juice. I like their weapons a ton. I'd love to see Colston Loveland get a little bit more involved, but yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson's got Caleb Williams firing on all cylinders right now. And this Raiders offense, they can't block for Ashton Genty. He's got like 144 rushing yards and 145 rushing yards after contact. Like they are very bad up front. And I'd say on both sides of the ball, if they'd have Max Crosby, it'd be a nightmare in the trenches for the Raiders. I know Geno can make some plays. I know they got some weapons, but for me, I think the Bears are a better team.
Yeah, I do think Genty will have a better game this week, though. I think this could be his breakout game or his best game yet. I think he could be, having some success. We saw Javonte Williams was kind of gashing the Bears' run defense last week, so I think this could be a good spot for him. to, maybe get in, push 100 yards, but I still think Chicago wins handedly.
Yeah, if there's one weakness in the Bears, it's probably their defensive front. But all right, moving on. The Packers, 6.5-point favorites at the Cowboys, 47.5-point total. Packers 2-1, Cowboys 1-2. If the Packers didn't lose to the Browns last week, I think this is a much fatter spread with no CeeDee Lamb for Dallas. But hey, any given Sunday, Micah Parsons returns to Dallas revenge game. What do you think happens here, Reagan? And does Micah Parsons get a sack?
Micah probably will get a sack here. I went with Green Bay, just no CD. I think this offense is going to be struggling a lot with not a ton of talent outside of Pickens. I mean, the running game looked good with Javonte, but I don't know if that'll be enough for them to, eventually not have to just commit to full pass. And I don't know if Jake Ferguson, George Pickens can get it done here. We've seen this Green Bay offense cook Dallas before. I almost wish Aaron Jones was still on this Packers team. Yeah. Be nice to see him out there with how much success he had in Dallas. But I think Jacobs will have a massive game here. He'll be over 100 yards for sure. And I don't even think Jordan Love's going to need to do a lot here. I think it's going to be, the Josh Jacobs show. But yeah, it'll also be interesting too. There's been a lot of question marks with, this Dallas secondary, and they've been cooked the past 2 weeks. So can Jordan Love go for close to 300 yards? And, if he does, which Packers wide receivers are balling out? I mean, this could be a nice coming out game for Matthew Golden on Sunday Night Football, potentially.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm also going to take the Green Bay Packers. This Dallas defense just looks awful. Like, bottom 3 of the league awful. Like, they're going to finish that way. I don't really see a lot of hope for this defense, and I think Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs can really beat them any way they want. I think Jacobs will have over 20 carries. I think he'll go for over 100 yards. I think he'll score 2 touchdowns. I think Jordan Love could throw to any of his 6 weapons that are all pretty good, but none great, and really carve up this secondary. And without CeeDee Lamb, against this Packers front, I don't know how confident I am that Dallas can score 20 points here, especially how they looked against the Bears. I think the Packers are a different level from the Bears. I know they lost to Cleveland last week, but I don't really care. I think this Packers team is significantly better, and I think they steamroll them, to be honest.
Steamroll them. I would think so, all things being said right now, but I don't know. I feel like Dallas, it's weird because I feel like a lot of people are going to be betting against Dallas, but to give them 6.5 points at home, it's that's a lot of freaking points for a team that did go toe-to-toe week 1 with Philly. Granted, Jalen Carter was, obviously out, but they did look good week 1. So could they bounce back and regret, get back to the mean? I mean, they've been on the road. I believe their past 2 games have been on the road. Yeah, they were home against the Giants, but Dallas at home is definitely a much different team. So it'll be interesting, but I'm going to agree with you that the Packers will win and cover.
All right, let's move on, man. Monday Night Football. We got 2 games to watch. Now, this one, unfortunately, is not split up. We got a 7:15 and an 8:15. We'll start with the 7:15. And it's Reagan's New York Jets, 2.5-point dogs on the road at the Miami Dolphins. 45.5-point total here. And both teams sit at 0-3. Reagan, I got to think you're taking your Jets to win and cover, right?
Yeah, I don't know why in the sheet I had the Dolphins winning, but Jets covering.
I thought that was weird.
That was a typo. No, I do have the Jets winning here. I mean, this is the Super Bowl. This is probably the last time I'll take the Jets if they lose this year. If we lose, it's just let's just tank at this point. I'm hoping Justin Fields plays because I think this could be a really good spot for him to continue and improve. I think this will be a good spot for Brees, Garrett Wilson. But like you highlighted earlier, I mean, I think these guys will come out and fight for Aaron Glenmore, where I feel like Mike McDaniels is losing this locker room, and Tua, you kind of saw in that Bills game, if he doesn't have time to throw the ball and you can get to him with a pass rush, which I think we do have a pretty solid pass rush, it's going to be tough. So I'm going to take the Jets here with my eyes closed. I'm not loving it. I don't know how this game could go a lot of different ways. I think it'll be high scoring, but come on, Jets, win the Super Bowl. Keep the playoff hopes alive in fucking week 4.
Yeah, I actually love the Jets in this spot, man. I mean, I kind of mentioned a lot of it earlier. I think Mike McDaniel's out of a job on Tuesday. I think they're going to call it. I don't know. I just don't see a team that's playing hard right now. I don't see a team that believes in their coach. I think his coach speak and his press conferences are fucking stupid now. They're not funny. Like, his little dry humor and like to win the game, you just have to not lose the game. Like, okay, that was funny when you guys were hanging like 40 points and Tyreek Hill was going nuts and Jalen Waddle. It's not really funny anymore when this team sucks. You can't protect your quarterback. Your secondary is garbage. I really just don't have any faith in Miami right now. The only thing that I do like about Miami is I have Tyreek Hill in fantasy and Devon Achane in fantasy, and they literally just have to throw the ball the whole game because they can't stop a nosebleed. That's the only thing I like about the Dolphins. And you know what I saw last week with the Jets? I saw Aaron Glenn going absolutely nuts when they were making plays and they blocked a field goal. They almost came back and beat a Tampa Bay team that I think is a bona fide playoff team, and I'm really, really high on despite their injuries. I think with Justin Fields back in the picture here, he's got something to play for, and he wants to prove that he could be the guy here. I think this is a really good spot to do it. I think Garrett Wilson has the opportunity to have a monster game if Justin Fields can put the ball on him, because there's not a player in that Dolphins secondary that can hang with him. So give me the Jets, man. I feel really good about the Jets.
Wow. Happy to have you. Hopefully we don't disappoint
and the Panthers this week. I don't know if I've ever had the Jets and the Panthers in the same week before, and you always pick those two teams.
Yeah, those are my guys. All
right, man. One more game to wrap it up. It's been a long one. If you're still with us, we really greatly appreciate you. Hit a comment and let us know where we've been off, where we've been great. We'd love to hear from you. Appreciate you. You're a real OG. Drop a like, drop a sub. We got the Bengals at the Broncos. Denver, 7.5-point favorites. 44.5 point total here. The Bengals at 2-1, of course, without Joe Burrow, and Jake Browning looked god-awful last week. Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, G. Higgins, not really been able to get going yet this year, besides week 2 for Jamar Chase. Denver, though, like Bo Nix, really has not looked good either. Like, who would have thought they'd be a 1-2 team at this point of the season? They got to figure it out. Bo Nix has got to figure it out and look more like he did last year. Hopefully it's not a full season sophomore slump, but do you have confidence taking the Bengals in the 7.5, given they just got blown out by Carson Wentz in Minnesota?
No, I don't have any confidence in the Bengals. I'm going with the Broncos here. I mean, their defense still did play really well against the Chargers, so I think they're going to make fits for Jake Browning. I think it may be a similar script than we saw last week with Minnesota, where they just dominated them and really caused a lot of turnovers. And the Bengals defense really isn't great either. So I would think, Bo Nix, this is a great bounce back spot for him in this offense. I think J.K. Dobbins will have a big game on the ground here. Cortland Sutton will definitely get involved. But yeah, I think the Broncos cover and win here. They should win this by double digits, and they really need to win this one. If they fall to 1-3, it's time to hit the panic button in Denver. Not that the season's over, but definitely something to be worried about. And it's like, all right, well, now that kind of probably goes to division, and we're just battling to get one of those wild cards, but they're still definitely not out of that division race.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm going to take the Broncos to win and cover. It's tough to win at Mile High, and I don't know if Jake Browning's got that juice in him right now. I do think he'll get better as the season progresses, but, if it's another dud from him in this one against a really tough secondary, hey, maybe they do call the Giants about Russell Wilson. I see that being floated around a lot right now. But yeah, I mean, I think Bo Nix, this is a perfect get-right spot, a team with a backup quarterback and a bad defense. You're also at home in prime time. You got an extra day to prepare with it being Monday night. So let's see more of 2024 Bo Nix in this one. Cortland Sutton looked awesome last week, going over 100 yards and another touchdown after a dud of a week 2. So I think Cortland Sutton is got to be in your fantasy lineups in this matchup for sure. I like your call with J.K. Dobbins. I think he can have a big game on the ground here. And ultimately, like, Denver's just got a significantly better defense and a significantly better quarterback, and they're at home. So I know 7.5 seems like a lot, but after what happened with Cincinnati last week, it's hard to bet on that bounce back.
Oh, yeah. No, it is really hard to bet on that bounce back, and I'm going to bet on Sean Payton. I think he's a good coach, and Zach Taylor's kind of a loser.
Yeah, Zach Taylor is just – if Zach Taylor didn't have Joe Burrow, he would not still be the head coach of the Bengals. I'll say that.
No,
and Joe Burrow will get hurt, and then it's like, oh, well, Taylor got him the Super Bowl that one year, and Burrow got hurt, so we got to keep Zach Taylor. But the guy just can't scheme up an offense to save his life. He relies on an elite talent at quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried about Chase Brown too. I mean, we talked about T. Higgins and Chase, but Chase Brown is a guy that was taken in, your late second, early third, and he really has not looked good right now. So definitely concerning there as well. They need to get him going in the run game because he was so explosive for them last year when he took over that role full time down the stretch.
I know, and it's like, is it just a matchup thing? Is it like, obviously no Burrow last week is tough, but like, you had Cleveland, you had Minnesota, like those are some tough defenses, you know what I mean? So I do think brighter days are ahead for Chase Brown, but I don't think he's ever going to live up to that draft status with no Burrow.
Well, this is a good bounce back spot for him because Jonathan Taylor gashed him. Hampton went for almost 150 yards last week and a touchdown, and Tony Pollard had a solid week in week 1 against them. So Denver's definitely beatable by the running backs for fantasy. So this is definitely could be a get right spot for him.
Good call out. All right, that wraps up our week 4 predictions. We appreciate you sticking with us. It's going to be a fun slate of games. Very much looking forward to it. Drop a comment, drop a like. Let us know where we off. Drop a comment. Who should I consider in big dog?
Who should he consider? I don't know why I cut out when you're saying that, whatever.